everybody, Shoebox Legends here. Thanks for joining me today for what is, I guess, going to be the conclusion of my 1958 Topps All-Star set, kind of sale slash flip slash trade. So again, a real quick recap, but I sold my 21 card 1958 Topps All-Star set, all PSA graded, that I completed about 15 years ago. And I've been using the funds to pick up some stuff that's a better fit for my collection, including the 4 cards that you see in front of you and a couple of others that we've looked at in the past. So really happy with how this has gone. And today I have the final installment. It's 4 different cards that all fit the same theme that I was pursuing here, including one that I'm really pumped about that is kind of a whopper from the 1800s. But before we get to that one, let's take a look at the first 3. And the theme of today's episode is going to be Triple Crown winners. So I've mentioned numerous times lately on this channel and others that I've been focusing my collection of late on collecting moments, important seasons, important moments, important games on cardboard. I think it's a fun way to approach the hobby. And going further and further down that rabbit hole didn't take me too long to arrive at Triple Crown seasons for either pitchers or, in this case today, hitters. I am interested in both, but they sort of represent, obviously, like the pinnacle of success in that season in your respective trade, whether you're a batter or a pitcher. And it does not happen often. I think the most recent time it happened in Major League Baseball was Miguel Cabrera over 10 years ago now. And it's a rare feat and it's an impressive feat. And so I began to look at opportunities to use some of the remaining money from the sale to pick up Triple Crown related cards. And I've got kind of 2 buckets today that we're going to look at. The first is Frank Robinson, the great Frank Robinson, who hit for the Triple Crown in 1966. And unfortunately, I should have pulled an image up of it here. But if those of you that can picture the card will know, but if not, I would encourage you to look this one up. In my opinion, Topps did Frank dirty in 1966. His 66 Topps flagship card is just ugly. It's this awkwardly close, weird angle shot of his face just on the whole entire front of the card. No hat on. It just is not an attractive looking card in my opinion. So I really didn't want to buy that card and spend my money from the sale on a card that I just didn't like the look of as much as I wanted representation of his Triple Crown season in my collection. So I thought of another approach that worked out just great. And it's a 3-card approach. I went from the 1967 Topps set. I figured why not get the 3 leaders cards that show him leading the categories that are needed to win the Triple Crown from the season prior. So on card 239 here, we've got Frank, the batting leader with the Baltimore Orioles, alongside Tony O and Al Kaline. Pretty awesome trio right there. In a PSA 6. These were not expensive cards at all. I think like around $30 a piece I paid for these, even in really nice condition, good centering. So this is the batting leaders card. Like I said, if we look at the back of this one, there's Frank, who hit 316, and Tony Oliva was next at 307. Nobody else cleared 300. So pretty crazy to hit 316 when nobody else in the league is even over 300. Then, of course, we have the home run leaders card. Frank again in the lead alongside Harmon Killebrew and Boog Powell for the Orioles. If we take a look at the back of this one, Frank clubbed 49 home runs, a 10 better than Harmon Killebrew, who is the next closest competitor in the home run race. And then, of course, the third and final stat to achieve the Triple Crown, the RBI lead. So here's another PSA 6. I think that home run leaders was a 7. We're back to 6 here, but they all look great and very similar. So we've got Frank, Harmon Killebrew, and Boog Powell again on the RBI leaders. And pretty wide margin on this one as well, a 12 RBI lead for Frank Robinson over Harmon Killebrew. So yeah, just, all together, all 3 of these cards, I think I was around $100 delivered. But to get, batting, home runs, and RBI leaders, all 3 in similar grades, and with Frank on all 3 and an image that looks, infinitely better than his 1966 flagship card image. I thought, in my mind, this was the best way to represent his 1966 Triple Crown season in my collection. So happy to have that trio. Thanks to the wonders of the modern internet and eBay. Found a few copies of these that I liked, that met my condition criteria, engaged with the sellers, and I think it took me all of a couple hours with some back and forths to end up with all three of these locked down into the collection. So very happy to have brought that trio home with the funds from the sale. And then I have the very last card. I think this is maybe like the 11th card that I picked up with the sale. So there were 21 cards in the initial set. Part of what I'm looking to do here is to buy fewer but more significant cards. So for me to downsize from the 21 cards in the 58 All-Star set to 11 cards is perfect. I cut the amount of room that I'm taking up here in half, and I am infinitely more pleased with these 11 cards than I was with the 21. So the final card is a pretty big one, big enough that it actually came in one of these authenticity guarantee holders and did have to be sent out to be verified before it came to me. But let me free this from its prison here and take a look at this beautiful card. So this is the 1988 Scraps Tobacco James O'Neill, known as Tip O'Neill, with the St. Louis Cardinals. Look at that image. Is that not an insanely awesome, old-timey baseball, I guess, card? So what I want to say here, I'm not going to go into, we're already at the 7-minute mark, a long backstory on the history of this set. Instead, I'm going to leave a link below to my buddy Doug over at Decon's Cardboard, who picked up a couple of these actually around the same time that I got this Tip O'Neill, and did an amazing video where he chronicled those two cards and gets into kind of the history and the background of the set. So if you want to learn more about this amazing looking card, definitely click the link below. Go check out Doug's awesome video. Should be subscribed to him anyway. But I'm not going to get into the history of the scrap set here, other than to say this is just amazing. And, to fit the theme of today's episode, why did I pick this card up? Well, the whole reason that I was looking for a Tip O'Neill, he was the second player ever to hit for the Triple Crown, all the way back in 1887. So the year prior to this card coming out. This is an 1888 release, which is, like, that alone is mind-blowing. The fact that I'm sitting here holding a baseball card of sorts that's from 1888, that's insanity to me. I love it. Got a huge grin on my face right now. But the reason I wanted this card in particular, and this was really what led me to discovering this set, is because he hit that Triple Crown in 1887. He hit something nuts like 435. I forget. I'm going off the top of my head. It was like 14 or 15 home runs, and it was well over 100 RBI. Just crazy season. Like I said, second guy ever to hit the Triple Crown, and it was done, the season that this was released. So as these were being collected, back in the spring, I guess, of 1888, he would have been a super hot name, probably the guy you'd want to pull more than anyone else, just coming off that amazing Triple Crown season. He's not a Hall of Famer, amazingly, but he is in the Canadian Hall of Fame. So he hails from Canada, and he was known in his day as the Canadian Babe Ruth, or I guess after his day. But once Babe Ruth emerged and became kind of the hero of American baseball, Tip O'Neill was known as the Canadian Babe Ruth. Again, not a Hall of Famer, but a Canadian Hall of Famer. And I believe up in Canada, they give out an award annually to the best Canadian baseball player in his name that's named after him. So that's pretty cool. But again, my interest in this becomes instantly kind of like the cornerstone of my small, continually growing, but small at the moment, Triple Crown collection, and my overall larger collection here of just collecting moments and history in the game. And, to have been able to turn that 58 Topps All-Star set, which I enjoyed for 15 years and wasn't easy to get rid of, into these cards that you see before you and a handful of others that you don't see that I just love and appreciate so much. I could not be happier with how this transaction turned out. And as a spoiler, just to kind of end things here, I got such a good taste from selling those graded cards and didn't miss them and was so happy with how this ended up that I re-engaged with the buyer and completed a much larger sale even of over 50 graded cards that I felt like it was time to move on from, and did very, very well with that sale. So while this series here on the 58 All-Star sale kind of comes to a conclusion with this great Tip O'Neill, I have kind of refilled the war chest here, so to speak, and done another clean out. And so as such, I've got some more fantastic cardboard on the way. Every bit as cool as what you see in front of you here. So I'm as excited about the hobby and as engaged in the hobby as I've ever been. Loving kind of transforming my collection and using cards that I already have and don't appreciate to kind of reinvent things a bit and spice things up. So I hope you're enjoying the content. I will keep coming with more of it here. I will be back in the very near future. And until then, I hope all of you continue to enjoy the hobby. Take care.